Hey, everybody. We are not quite in a recession yet. Depends on who you ask. But a lot of experts, investment banks, economists, things like that, have really increased their probability of a recession happening in 2025. JP Morgan Chase recently said that they are upping their percentage chance of a recession to 60 this year. Some people are saying we're already in a recession, and we'll find out once we get more current economic data. Who knows? But I think it's fair to say the chances of a recession have significantly increased in the past couple months. And we're going to take a look at some investments you might want to take a look at if you're looking to play a little bit of defense in your portfolio. Tyler Crow is joining me, and we are going to get right into it. But first, please check out the link you see on your screen, fool.com/Frankel. Get the top 10 stocks to buy right now, so get some even more ideas from the Motley Fool. It is a great way to support this work we're doing on YouTube. Again, fool.com/Frankel. I'll put that in the description. So, Tyler, I had a tough time picking just one stock for this discussion. So maybe I'll give two of them in a little bit. But you
Ooh,
have kind
bonus
of,
material.
yeah, bonus material. You have what I would consider maybe the recession resistant stock because it provides a service that people don't really want to live without. So what are you looking at?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could actually do a couple here because there's a few players in this industry, but we'll keep it easy. We'll go with waste management. And the name kind of says it all, one of this company. And I'm sure that most of you have either seen a waste management or a Republic Services truck doing trash pickup in your neighborhood or something like that. And to be honest, like when it comes to recession resiliency, taking out the trash is kind of one of those businesses that does pretty well. Um, Aside from just recessions alone, this is one of those businesses that is uh, it's so hard to do for so many reasons. Number one, like just having a landfill is kind of like having a geographic monopoly, more or less. Like you don't have a whole lot of competing landfills or things like that in most places because they're so hard to permit. They're actually surprisingly hard to develop in terms of like getting all the drainage and all that other stuff done to actually get one over the finish line. And so you see a lot of consolidation in this industry around really big players because they know how to kind of navigate the regulatory environment of landfills. And once you have one up and running, it's basically it's a cash machine that prints for years and years and years. And so with waste management, one of the things that I've always appreciated about this business, and just for recession resiliency or whatever, they're incredibly good at eking out a lot of like operational efficiencies because even though the landfill itself is pretty, once you get it up and running, it prints a lot of cash. The actual like picking up of trash is a pretty costly endeavor, managing fleets, all the fuel and stuff like that. But it's a company that's done like some really innovative things where it's like, landfills put out a lot of methane gas when all that trash is decomposing. So instead of just like letting it seep out into the world, they put it in a pipeline, kind of clean it up a little bit, and then they use it to fuel their trucks. So things like that to help keep costs down, efficiency. It's one of those businesses that when you look at it, it looks boring. It's like, oh my God, it's just trash. Who cares? But it's exceptionally well run, and there's a lot of things like that make it well suited for recessions. Look, we're all going to pay our trash. Most of residential trash collection is it's kind of set and forget it. It's like negotiated through resident like municipalities versus like us paying sending a paycheck. So if you're with municipalities, you tend to get you paid on time too. The one thing that you could say is the recession sensitive component of this business is that construction debris and construction waste tends to be a pretty lucrative business and handling all that stuff. And so if you see a decline in construction and with some industrial activity as well, that can be a some of the varying amount of revenue that you get, because if you're having lower tipping rates, which is the frequency of how many times that construction companies are dumping their stuff in the landfill, that can be like on the margins, that can maybe a little up and down. But with with so many of the other parts of the business being so kind of set it and forget it. It's one of those businesses that, while not perfectly recession proof, there's really no such thing. Waste management is one of those businesses that it kind of chugs along pretty well through any economic environment.
Yeah, yours is a totally recession-proof investment. It's as close as you can get to it anyway. It's not like you can say, "Oh, I need to cut back this month. Let's turn off trash service." It doesn't really work that way. So I like that one. I'm going to talk about a couple that aren't necessarily recession-proof, but are definitely built to withstand the tough times and come out better on the other side. And one of them that sounds kind of counterintuitive is Disney, the Walt Disney Company. Um, Everyone knows Disney for its big theme parks. They also have the ESPN networks. They have the Disney Plus streaming service. They have the film franchises. They have their intellectual properties just off the charts. They have the merchandise licensing business. There's a lot to Disney, and it does tend to hold up better in recessions than you might think. Families who go to Disney World once a year tend to keep going to Disney World no matter what the economy's doing. It the company. First of all, the fact that they're in the middle of investing $60 billion into their theme parks is kind of a saving grace, because the Disney faithful will go for a new attraction. Regardless of what the economy is doing, this isn't like the post-COVID years when Disney hadn't really built anything new in a while, and there was just so much pent-up demand that people were going. They have a lot of new things in the works that should keep their parks pretty full, regardless of what the economy is doing. The streaming business is low. It's reliable subscription revenue. There's not a lot of churn in that business, and it's now profitable. So that's a pretty profitable, resilient revenue stream. Their intellectual property, their licensing does pretty well no matter what the market's doing. People still watch sports on ESPN no matter what the economy's doing. So the ad revenue there tends to hold up better than most, and things like that. Um, Really solid business, one that I have owned for a long time. And one of the really cool things about Disney is, even if something causes Disney's attendance to kind of pull back, things like that, like the COVID pandemic caused Disney's attendance to pretty much die for a while, you'll see pent up demand. You'll see a big surge on the other side of people coming to spend money. Really financially stable company, and I think it is a great entry point in it right now. It's trading for the 80s right now. It was up to about $200 during the COVID boom, but right now it's trading for before Disney for less than it was before the streaming business even existed. So I do think it's a really good entry point in this kind of timeless company. I don't think anyone can visualize a scenario where in 20, 30 years, Disney's not just as big as they are today, if not significantly bigger. Um, Another one I think that is kind of well positioned to weather a storm is Starbucks. Ticker symbol is SBUX. And this is one that I've kind of to- advised investors to caution, or to approach cautiously, because once Brian Niccol was appointed CEO, the stock shot higher. It skyrocketed on just kind of optimism, and it's now essentially given back the Nichols rally. It's down to where it was before his back to Starbucks plan, and the plan's working. In the latest earnings report, all the key metrics improved sequentially. Like things like comparable sales still fell year over year, but that was before he got hired. And with the new plan, they're really starting to improve quarter over quarter. Um, there are some parts of the plan that I don't think really make that much of a difference. I don't know anyone who stopped going to Starbucks because they stopped writing with marker on the cups, and they brought that back. But there are some parts of the plan that do make a lot of sense. They simplified the menu. They stopped charging for milk alternatives, which kind of turned off a lot of customers. They're doing a great job of getting their business back. It is a pretty recession-resistant product. During the initial COVID recession, there were still Starbucks lines around the block. During the financial crisis, the company grew pretty dramatically. They kept opening stores. Their stores weren't hurting for traffic. You would think that $5 and $6 cups of coffee would be a pretty easy to pull back discretionary purchase, but you might be surprised. So, I mean, look at the 2008, 2009 numbers from Starbucks. They were very, very solid. So I think both of those companies are well positioned to make it through a recession. It could definitely hurt their business a little bit, but right now it looks like a great entry point in both stocks. And there are two that I own and that I plan to hold, even if we are almost inevitably in a recession. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by more than 5 times. Go to fool.com/Frankel to get your 10 stock picks now. The Motley Fool Stock Advisor returns are 914% as of January 7th, 2025, and are measured against the S&P 500 returns of 174% as of January 7th, 2025.